Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the pimp slap POD, Mike M.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not your typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike Money's killers might even make it even news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Buzz Force Radio, you know we be pumping!
What up? What up? Welcome on in. It's Last Call, and it is Friday. The weekend is here. We made it. How about that? Appreciate everybody rocking in here tonight. You already know what it's all about here. We're out here trying to work together, put the strategy on paper, and now let's go out and cook these books. Hit that thumbs up button if you're just getting in here. That's kind of paramount to what we're doing here and showing your appreciation and support. We're excited about what we have going on tonight. You know the deal. There's already college basketball in play out there. Shout out to our guy, Jimmy the Bag, leading the charge out there. Gave us the full breakdown on every single college basketball game in play today. So great opportunity to go back, circle around, and check out what our guy Jimmy the Bag has shared. I'm coming in with a couple freshies here. We got some new plays, some new angles, some more opportunities to get that cash. And get that cash we will. It's a big Friday on deck here. 2 NHL games, just 2. But we've got 2 plays, 1 in each of those games, even in plus money spots. Really excited about just 2, but how many more do we need? Let's just go 2-0 and get that cash out there. Then we've got college basketball, a couple of plays in the college arena for March Madness here later on in the card. And then, of course, the NBA, a couple of spots out there, a player prop as well. It's going to be a fun little card tonight. Going to get that cash and put ourselves into a real positive state of mind for the weekend here. It's going to be a great weekend. Spring is in the air around here. Stays lighter longer. Get that excitement going out there just a little bit more every day as we see just a little bit more sunshine. It gets pretty gray skies around here. So it's always exciting to see them blue skies and have a good attitude because we're making cash while we're doing it, guys. You know, again, smash that thumbs up. We ask you to do just 3 things for Last Call. Already talked about that. Show the appreciation. That little like button out there, if you could help retweet the Twitter piece as well, that always helps out there. Let them know where you're at, where you're getting your information from out there. And then, of course, grab yourselves a pen and paper for that information, not just from the panel, myself and our MMA guru, MMA Jeff's going to join us at the end of the show, as he does on Fridays, to bust out that action for Saturday's UFC card. Then, of course, you know, the last but not least here, you're going to want to write those plays down and then share them in the chat. Let us see what you guys are on. We want to recognize everything that's working. Everyone's hard work out there trying to get that money from them bookies. I'm excited to see what you guys have in store for us. And let's take a peek at this chat. Joe T's in the house, my guy, Joe T. First one in there. It was good to hang out with Joe T last night. Says, let's get that cash. I gave out the K-State, Iowa State over 132.5 on Jimmy's show, and it won. And I gave out 134.5 last call and lost. Hey, man, that happens. It happens, right? What are you going to do? He likes the Baylor, Iowa State over 133.5, though, for our guy, Joe T, his best bet there to kick the card off. First guy in the chat with the play, and we appreciate you, Joe T. He's got another one for us, too. Hawaii, UC Davis, over 134.5 out there. Andrew G in the house, my guy, says, NFL update. Steelers have traded Kenny Pickett to the Philly Eagles. Wow. They got basically the NFL's best backup. Nice team the Eagles are putting together. They've been nice. Andrew G, they've been nice. But, you know, it's all fun and games, but they got to do something on defense. They definitely have to man that defense up out there. They let a couple guys go. They've seen some guys retire, but haven't really seen any big names coming in. So probably a big draft year as well. They've been going after them Georgia and Bama college basketball, college football players. Everything's all over the place right now, man. It's been a full day, 2 days of straight numbers. I'm going loopy out there. Fanatical Jim, though, in the house, says let's get that cash. Have the Kings Blackhawks over 5.5 for our guy, Fanatical Jim. Subhuman Gaucho's in the house out there. Real Deal Prime. 3 points out. You know he's talking about the 7-1-6 and the Buffalo Sabres. 3 points out of the playoffs for our guys' team, the Real Deal Prime. Buffalo Sabres in the house there. Subhuman Gaucho says, in a great mood, just hit one of my favorite meme bets Jiz Horncamp, anytime goal scorer and first goal scorer out there. Get that cash sub, Human Gaucho. Justin McAlvey's in the house. Says, what's good? It's Friday, man. That's what's good. That's the real talk for everybody out there. It's Friday. Excited about this weekend coming up. Andrew G says, love the intro featuring Jay Peasy. Jay Peasy busted the mold. Really reached for the stars when he put that one together. Best intro, probably on all of YouTube. You know, I don't spend a lot of time watching other shows, but I know it's the best intro on Pub Sports Radio. My guy Jay Peasy holding it down for us. Speaking of holding it down, shout out to my guy T on the ones and twos. He's back. It's Friday. We had to deal without him yesterday. Things get a little loose when he's not here. You know, he keeps us running like a well-oiled machine. Bo Jackson says, up 4K. Let's go, my guy, Bo Jackson. That's great to hear. Get your money, my guy. We always appreciate you hanging out and sharing your best looks for us as well. Gerald Jones, 2 best bets. He's got UC Davis money line and the Houston Texas Tech under 132.5. Yeah, that's that Houston game yesterday was classic Houston. Bo Jackson getting paid like a pension. Let's go. Subhuman Gotcha says, always having parlayed. Let's go. He's giving it to us there. Some soccer looks as well. Nunez says, go mother effing Blazers. I tried to tell the gang. Man, that was the last cut for me. I was disappointed I cut them boys, but let's roll on. Let's roll on. Tone Miggins in the house there. We've got our guy Tone in there. Says Sam Houston first half, fast cash. And there's Nick Geichel. I hope I said that right. He says Pitt for our guy Nick. Great to see him in there. It's a new name I haven't seen sharing in the chat before. We appreciate you coming in, my guy. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for sharing your hard work with us, trying to let us know where you're getting paid. Nanya says, let's get that Norfolk first half and full game spots out there. I like that Norfolk spot quite a bit. Probably not the biggest favorite thing to hear from some of the guys I know from earlier show today, thinking that other side, but it's basically in Norfolk's backyard. No travel for these guys. They're sleeping in their own beds, kind of minimum disruption when it comes to that travel and friends and family. So I think that's a bigger edge than maybe it leads on. We'll see how that plays out. And then Nunya says, Tone, I played Sam Houston first half only out there. Good for you guys. Winner Circle in the house says, hey, yo, Wembayana over 21.5 points and Quinnipiac on the money line for our guy Winner's Circle out there. Nunya BT says, yo, Tone, I tailed that fast cash. Good shite, my guy. Reclaim James in the house. You know I've hit that like my let's go, my guy. Reclaim James. Al Cervic in the house. Whittlehands out there. Yeah, let's go. Talk sports with JT. Appreciate you guys all coming in. Tone Miggins under in the first half of that Virginia NC State game at minus 129 for 1.5 units for our guy Tone Miggins. We're going to talk about that game tonight. Excited to break some of these additional spots down on the card out there. We've got Tone Miggins says NC State. Nunez says Grambling and Wisconsin game through. Through. Sorry, I was trying to read the emoji. And he says Tennessee busted the parlay of the day. Man, Tennessee busted a lot of people's parlays, I'm sure. Who saw that coming right off the hop there? I sure didn't, but I did see the under coming, and I did play it. So Mr. Anderson in the house says Baylor money line. I like that Baylor money line spot. Kentucky minus 5.5, and the Utah Jazz minus 1.5 out there. I got to double check that Jazz spot now that you mentioned that, because it was looking a little squirrely earlier today. The cash flow information has been all over the place, but the Utah Jazz spot now is +3s, my guy. +3s out there. I don't know if you know what's going on, but share with us if you do, Mr. Anderson. Pub Sports Radio, there's our guy. T back there says, let's end this week right and smash the like button. There's the ass eater play of the day, and he goes to 10-4. He gave us that winner last night. It's great to see him rocking back with us. Coin says, you got as a wagon. There's a wagon, but, every so often the wagon wheel bust, my guy. We'll see what happens there. Seems like a lot of points, but might be a little trappy, too, for the other side. We'll see. Andrew G, UFC starts early, too, tomorrow. That's great, 4 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I don't need to be up till 4 a.m. watching the UFC, especially combat sports there. I'm struggling after the fact. Can't just unplug and go to bed after you're watching people literally kick each other in the face all night. It's a hard spot to be. Then he says, Norfolk swarming already. Let's get this money. Norfolk first half full game. Quinnipiac first half full game. Cash and big. And let's go. Al Cervic says 50 minutes to go at work. Help me get to my weed, Mikey. Al, I will do just that. We'll help you get to some plays as well. You guys know the deal. You're just getting out of work, trying to figure out what you're going to do for dinner, trying to see what you're going to have for a cocktail. Well, let's see if we can help you guys figure out what cash to put down and where to stick it so that we can make that money out there. Londo says Alabama -4.5 and the first half -2.5. Subhuman loves an early UFC card. Mr. Vape in the house says, what's going on, fellas? Just hit me a nice trip, Kings of Diamonds on the side bet at the casino. If you know, you know. What's up? Big Scott 510 says, what's good, Mikey? Let's get this cash 3-legger for tonight. He's got San Diego State, Alabama, New Mexico money lines +249. I'll tell you, that's how you know it's been a long couple of days of looking at numbers. I'm looking at SD State and I'm running through my head. Is that South Dakota or is that San Diego? I know it's San Diego. South Dakota's all done. The Jackrabbits are all done already. So let's go. Let's get it going. Kong's Clips. Mikey, best bet tonight. Contavious Caldwell Pope, 3+3s +340. I know that's your guy. Good luck to you. Dana Delp likes that -4.5 for Nebraska. And Rocco Rogers in the house says, what's good, crew? Glad I could make this show today. 1-0 so far with Whiskey -3. Let's keep it rolling. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to break down. The early part of the card, but it's been a pretty good day thus far for us here. I see what you're saying, Mr. Anderson. He's got them in an alternate spread. It is +3, but he's taking them at -1.5. I got you now. That makes sense. The reason I say that is because it looked like they opened at -4. So I had to go down and take a look at the injury news. I saw there's a couple of guys out of that game, but he's also on the Clippers -3.5 alternate spread out there. And there's the ass eater play of the day for today from our guy, Reclaim James. Akron money line for our guy, Reclaim James. Let's go. I wrote that one down somewhere as well. Let's go. Let's see if we can get that ass eater to 11-4, my guy. Nobody eats more ass than you, Reclaim James. And I know that's a title you're very proud of. So keep rolling, my guy. Let's see you get another W out there. Let's move on, guys. You guys know the deal. Big card to talk about tonight. But before we move on, we have to keep it 100 and be transparent. We'll let you guys know exactly what happened last night. And pleasant surprise, just under 2 units of positive growth there last night. We had a nice 6-4 day, which kind of didn't feel like it. I mean, look, there was a ton of college basketball for me yesterday with Jimmy's show early on. I mean, we started at 10:45 a.m. He ran a 4-hour and 15-minute show yesterday, and then we had plays going until I think the last play finished for me at 2:30 in the morning. So it was a long, long day. But when I look back at the show plays there, we did net profit 6-4. We lost that Rangers game, though. What a disappointment. I thought they were going to get it. At least they didn't just lose by 1 in like overtime, right? They got smashed. So you're going to take it, then take it. But it was only -105, so it was low juice. However, Florida Panthers on a Thursday continue to be an under team. It's crazy. We got that at even money. That was a nice win for us. I think the final score was 4-0 or 4-1, but in any event, it was a W. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs -114. What a joke. What a joke. That was a big win for us out there with Toronto. Vegas -1, though. Big L for us out there. Had a lead, just couldn't hang on to it. Disappointing, and then some. Then we rolled through college basketball. We double dipped the Western Kentucky spot. We had the first half -3. We had the full game -6. I hope you did that again today. I specifically mentioned this yesterday. There's only 3 shittier teams, or 3 shitty teams on the road. The 3 shittiest teams, I guess is what I should say, on the road in college basketball. New Mexico State, terrible. Their season's done. Number 2, Middle Tennessee. And who did Western Kentucky play today? Middle Tennessee. I hope you ran that one back for us. And then number 3 is FIU. So keep that in mind there, the stack rankings of shittiest teams on the road in college basketball. But we cashed both those, double dipper, first half and full game. It was nice to cash that. Penn State money line. If we had waited just a little longer, that game popped off at 9 p.m. Eastern. We could have gotten the +2s and 2.5s. I know I was on a live stream last night. I gave it out at 2.5. And sure enough, they lose by 2. So we just weren't late enough. Late betting is great betting, but we just weren't late enough. That being said, though, we did close out. How about that UT Arlington spot? Money line at -130 was the number I was able to grab pre-show. That thing skyrocketed to -170s. Shout out to our guy. I think it was JPZ pointed that out. So we pivoted. We went to the -2.5s. Didn't matter what you played. They won the thing by like 35 points. So UT Arlington was nice cash for us there. Nice day in college hoops over here as well. We had a nice little 3-1, the lone spot being that Penn State game. And damn it, if we could have just gotten that 2.5. Anyway, no use crying over busted plays. Then we go on and we went 1-1 in the NBA. The Suns +1.5. Shout out to our guy, Nasty Nate there, and his Celtics got the job done. But we closed with the Clippers, and the Clippers got the job done for us. So that's how you go 6-4. Nice little 2-unit day, growing, bringing back some of those spots that we gave up earlier this week. And let's see if we can do it again tonight, you guys. I appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out with us here. We're just getting started. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. And let's see what we can do to grow these numbers here. Want to see more of these thumbs up, guys. We need the support. That's the only measuring stick we have to show if you guys are enjoying the content or not. So, please hit that thumbs up and help us continue to build the brand here and the PSR community, specifically at this 6 o'clock window. You already know we do it better than anybody here. We bring angles, trends, cash flow, all the analysis, injury updates, everything you need, plus our sharp chat to the table to come up with these winners. And that means a ton for you guys to hit that thumbs up. So please do so. Nunya says, shout out my Mexican mamacitas that love a Scots Irish man. I'm drinking Mexican beer and wearing green sweatpants only all weekend. That sounds like quite the sight, my guy. That sounds like quite the sight, Nunya. Let's go. Andrew G says, I'm wearing my Orlando Magic hoodie, using them in a parlay. Coin says, got some pip +8, -115. I'm not so confident about that pit spot. I'll leave it at that. Just not so confident in that pit spot. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you where I wasn't confident earlier today. South Carolina. Everybody loves South Carolina. Why didn't that line move? In fact, where did it move? To -8 on the other side of things with Auburn. They punished them, boys, and they did it again today. So for what it's worth out there, Kong's Clips, Juggler, Nuggets are looking for a 1 seed. Joking. Set out a group text and said for the second half of the season, everybody better be on their shit. I'm on the Nuggets rest of the season. Let's roll on, guys. Let's get into this thing here. We just have a short little NHL card, so let's keep a brisk pace. We'll get our MMA guru in here to close the show out for us. And, of course, we're going to talk about the PSR UFC contest out there. It's free to enter. Get your shot to win $100. All you got to do is register for the site and then go in and pick them UFC winners. How they're going to finish, who's going to win, what round it's done in. All together, they tabulate the scores for you, and they hang out and hand out $100. And shout out to our guy, MMA Jeff. Almost won it again this weekend here. He clobbered it. I know a lot of people struggle with the big UFC card, but not our guy, MMA Jeff. He got it done, so I'm excited to bring him in as we keep it rolling out there. Shout out David Burns says, watching from Cedar Hill, Texas out there. Let's roll on. Let's talk about the NHL. Let's get this card rolling, boys and girls. It's time to get to the pay. I hope you guys are ready because I am certainly fired up and ready to fly here. Game number 1, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Anaheim Ducks, the Winnipeg Jets out there. Big game for these boys here. We've got the Anaheim Ducks with Gibson starting in goal at 13, 22, and 2. And look at these numbers, 3.31 goals against average, 89.3%. You guys know the tiers. This guy's just about AHL numbers from where his numbers kind of sit right now. Then on the other side of things, we've got the backup. It's backup night for Winnipeg, and they're fortunate to have one of the best in the business in Bruce Waugh to back these boys up there in Hellebuck. He's 11-4-2. He's running a 2.11 goals against average and a 92.4% save percentage. The thing is, he's on a little 3-game win streak, Bruce Waugh. So, these numbers are absolutely ridiculous tonight. This Winnipeg Jets number is -400. Even the -1.5 is -155. You guys know how I feel about trying to take some of those spots there. That's not going to happen. And I don't feel like getting up to 2.5s either because the Jets offense just isn't predictable enough. Then we look at the Kings game there. And the Kings, a modest -265 for the Kings spot. Another difficult situation. But where I'm going to go with this first game here is I'm going to count on what Bruce Waugh's been doing, and that's been playing lights out as the backup. He came off a 17-save shutout his last start. He's got a 3-game winning streak, and how do you win? You don't allow goals in there. He's got 3 or less goals in each of his last 3 games as well. And he's playing the lowest scoring team in the NHL in the Anaheim Ducks right now. Got to go to this under for me in this game here. It's 5.5, and it's 5.5 for a reason. Don't be scared. It's like we talked about yesterday with that Carolina-Florida game. If anything, that one you should have been scared about. This one here with these two teams, low scoring galore. We've got a strong under team all season in the Winnipeg Jets. And last but not least, an away dog off and under after they play a series of teams, either the Sabres, the Senators, the Oilers, the Wild, the Kraken, or the Flames, are 19-33 to the under in those spots as well. Opening up our card tonight, we're taking the Winnipeg Jets. We're going under 5.5, and we're getting it even money. Man, I'm struggling to talk today. A lot of time on camera breaking down games here, but let's keep rolling. Let's talk about this next spot that we have. I'm excited about this next game. It's a shit number. I mean, that last game was a bad number, but as we roll on to this LA Kings and Chicago Blackhawks spot too, pretty difficult situation when you look at it overall. However, if we dig into this thing, what do we see? Well, we've got Cam Talbot going at 19-16-6 for the LA Kings. He's their starter. We know David Rittich has been playing well, but he's the backup, and they're going back to Cam Talbot as the starter. The other side of things for Chicago, we got Soderblom out there. What a bum this guy is, 4-18-1. We got Talbot's numbers, 249, goals against average, 91.6% save percentage. Soderblom, 3.88 goals against average, 87.9% save percentage. Amazing that they just keep going back to this guy. I don't get it, but I guess if you don't have anybody else, what are you going to do? You got to have somebody in there. Can't turn the net around and shoot it, bank it in off the backboards there. So a couple things going on in this spot here. We've got a great opportunity for the Kings. This is their first game of a back-to-back spot, so they will be on the no-rest spot. I'll talk about that in just a second here. But what we've seen from Talbot, he's been saving over 93%, playing pretty consistent. He's 5-3-1 over his last 9 games. Look, I don't need to talk a lot about why the Kings should win this game. They should win this game. It's the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago, however, not going to be just a pushover. Soderblom, Chicago's won 3 of their last 4. This asshole gets a third start in his last 5 games, and he somehow won 2 in a row. It's amazing. He's been keeping pucks out of the net, though. 69 to 75 shots over his last 3 games out there. The guy's been pretty impressive at finding a way to shut it down. But his numbers are terrible. Let's just go back to his numbers are terrible. What are we doing for this game? Let's talk about exactly how and why we're going to the window with this one. Look, we took a minus 265. We turned it into almost a 2-to-1 opportunity for profit. How do we do that? Well, we got the Kings and we're going to a same game parlay. So you want to shop around. I know FanDuel's hanging the same game parlay promo right now. DraftKings has them. I didn't see any tonight for DraftKings, and I know a variety of the books do have these same game or no sweat opportunities. So be smart about this thing. Before you click the button, make sure that you're leveraging your promos that are out there. But we're going to look at the second line for the LA Kings, and my boy pointed this out to me now. Just their effectiveness across the board. One of the best second line units in all of the NHL out there right now. You've got Fiala, Philip Deneau, and Trevor Moore. Going out there meeting. How do you become one of the best, second line combos in the NHL? You go out there and exceed your goals expected ratings out there, and they are doing just that. They played 60% to their expected goals rating on the season. They're averaging 3.28 goals every 60 minutes out there. They're getting plenty of pucks and production time out there. And the angle that I'm going to here is I'm choosing to pick this Kevin Fiala spot and his over 3.5 shots on goal. I've seen this at a couple of places. By the numbers, this one makes the most sense. You can pick this thing up just standalone. I almost had this down as a standalone to double dip it, but I thought, you know what? Let me try to put these two together. Why Fiala and his shots on goal? He's on that second line that I just talked about. And in his last 3 games, the guy's taken 36 shot attempts. When you have a hot second line, they get ice time. He's in the special teams unit as well. And he's averaging 12 shots a game over his last 3 games. We need over 3.5. That makes it plus 128 just on the standalone. But where are we going to do this thing here? We're going to combine it with the LA Kings. Expect them to win. Expect to see Fiala easily get this shot total for us. And it's a nice little plus 180 spot to rock and roll through the NHL card tonight. So that's how we're going to do it. Steve G says, Kings do not pass the eye test, laying off. Let me tell you a little bit about why I want this King spot tonight, Steve G, because I don't want him tomorrow. One of the worst spots of all of the NHL is that second leg in the back-to-back with no rest. And one of the worst teams, in fact, the worst team in the NHL to be in that position is the LA Kings. Future look-ahead spot, circle it. We won't have a show here on Pub Sports tomorrow, but the LA Kings, second leg of a back-to-back, they'll have no rest. And they've got the Dallas Stars who've got to be pissed off after that loss last night to the New Jersey Devils. So you're going to want to take that Dallas Stars spot tomorrow as a little look-ahead spot for you guys. Regulation, -1, whatever you got to do to feel comfortable with what's going on. But that's a little look-ahead spot for you and why I like the Kings tonight, because I think they don't lose them both. but I expect them to win this one and then lose that next one. So that's kind of how it all worked together. Kind of worked backwards to get to that one for us out there. BT in the house is laying -7.5 at UNC and leaning over. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. BT. I'm not sure about the over, but read between the lines for me there, and you did just that with that UNC spot. Kelsey's in the house. What up, Kelsey? Let's go. Let's get that cash, girl. Nunya says 5 to tip. Let's get paid. Steve G. Kings do not pass. We already said that. Kelsey, I'm going to do a parlay hedge, double, upside down, cake bet here. I don't know what the hell that means, but I like it. I like it. Go get it. Nunya says, Kelsey, don't hedge a bet the same day you learned what a hedge is. It's all fun, you guys. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and let's roll on to college hoops tonight. Now, okay, about 20 plays that I'm involved with on Jimmy the Bag show. I don't want to be redundant, so what I really did and what I continue to try to do is come up with these fresh spots for you guys as the day progresses, as I get more information, access to more information, more collabs are sending me their details and where they're at and why they're on those spots. It gives me the opportunity to scrub a little bit more and try to help us get to the window with that pay dirt. So this first one, though, I talked about with Jimmy the Bag earlier today. It's 9 p.m. We've got Marist and we've got Fairfield, 9 p.m. Eastern. Started at +3.5. Has moved to 4.5. Reverse line movement alert. 47% of the bets, but 74% of the cash are on this Marist side of things right now. And yet what's happened? The line's gone from -3.5 to -4.5 on Fairfield. So there's that reverse line movement that we talk about. As far as the total, it's kind of frozen. Open at 132.5, pretty much sitting at 132.5. There might be a couple 133s out there depending on where you shop, but it's not true. It's not a true 133. It's a -105 type of 133. We have 89% of the bets. No visibility on the cash, though, when it comes to this under. And look, this is the coveted spot that we love to kind of bang away and capitalize on. It is the revenge situation out there, knowing what happened the last time these two teams played. Marist hosted Fairfield. Marist was a 1.5-point dog. Marist beat Fairfield 58-55 in that spot. They do have a big win against, they have a loss against Iona and then a loss against Quinnipiac as well on the road. But their last two games, and I kind of alluded to this earlier today, Niagara wasn't the Niagara that started the year off kicking ass and taking names. They have fallen by the wayside down the second half of the stretch in conference play. Everybody kind of figured out their formula and how to crack that nut. And in fact, they did. So back-to-back wins here off of those double losses for Marist. To me, I have a giant asterisk on them because I think there's a little bit more that goes into it. But on the other side of things with this Fairfield team, line is trucking in their direction now. We've got cash coming in on the other side, and the books say, I don't care. What am I doing with this game? I'm going to isolate this first half. I think both these teams are pretty consistent across the board, as far as their free throwing, three-point capabilities, the way their offensive and defensive efficiencies kind of line up there. Excuse me, very similar in both of these programs, but slight advantage, I think, for the three-pointer to the Fairfield side of things, which that's usually what we see. A team kind of starts off hot. They try to start to bang those three-pointers in there. They try to find their mark early, and then we'll see what happens as the game progresses. But I went first half. I love the revenge angle in the first half on a team. They're not going to come into this game lightly, knowing that, hey, these guys are winning, and they beat us already. What else do we need to do? We need to go out there and start strong, and that's what I think Fairfield does in this game. I've got Fairfield in the first half. I've got it -2.5, and it's -112 right now. So I guess that's a little juicy, unless anybody can find it cheaper, but it's 112 is right in the wheelhouse for me with regards to the numbers, and I'm more than fine with it. Let's roll on out there. Kong's Clip says, when in doubt, hedge it out. I believe in the hedging for Gardner's theory myself, but I bet a lot of money, so I'm not afraid to take a loss and then move on to the next one if I have to. I mean, I'd rather not. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but that being said, when you have a bunch of plays out there, you don't need to go sink into one. Anyhow, Andrew G says Fairfield -1.5. This line's getting out there now. Yeah, it is. It's starting to move, and it's correlated with the side. The side's moving from 3.5 to 4.5, so they are kind of carrying that downstream, which is what you want to see. You don't want to just kind of see it be a full game without moving that first half, although we have capitalized on some of those spots as well. So let's roll out there. Julian Cesario says, what up, Pimp? St. John's, UConn. First half over 69.5 for our guy, Julian. If you listen in the morning, you'll cash. Let's get that money, my guy, Julian Cesario. Good luck to you. Kelsey says, Mikey, what do you think about the Jets -0.5 in the first period? Yeah, I mean, look, Kelsey, my established first quarter and first half records are terrible. There's a few spots that I'll jump in on them. And generally, I'm a little too apprehensive to start laying puck lines and things like that. But look, this number's huge. So if you can get that at a reasonable number, I'm not against it. I think it's going to be a lower scoring spot, though. I would think the under first period, probably is more where I would lean to in that spot. But again, I'm not the first period, first quarter guy. Every time I see those things, they sound so good to be true, and then inevitably they are too good to be true for me, and I end up taking the L. So for the enjoyment for me. There's no shortcuts for me in this thing. I want to stretch this thing out and utilize all of the team that I can out there. And everyone's a little different about it, but that's not, I can't tell you the last time I won a first quarter bet. In fact, I can tell you, it was a couple weeks back and it was a Suns game. If I'm not mistaken, it was a first quarter. And I think it was LJ that gave it out. That's how infrequently I play. I play a ton of games. And I can go back and tell you specifically 3 weeks ago, I took a first quarter and I won. Outside of that, though, every time I take them, they lose. So anyhow, I digress. Conk's Clip says St. John's is cutting it close, currently down 7 with 2 minutes left. How about that? Let's go. Andrew G says Jets are going to fire on the sitting Ducks. Yeah, that's probably the case there. Juggler 23 says St. John's is win or go home. Coin says I prefer a Phoenix first quarter -3.5 in the NBA. Kelsey. Appreciate it. All you guys working together. Guiding everybody to that cash. Let's roll on. Let's talk about this next game that we've got. Another spot that I was close to pulling the trigger on earlier today. I just needed to get a couple more things to line up. I had to sit with it a little bit. Sit with it I have, and this is what I came to the conclusion with here. NC State, the Wolfpack, Virginia Cavaliers, opens up as a +1.5 to NC State. It's now 2.5. We have 74% of the bets and 55% of the cash. You guys have heard me say this time and again, the bets are everything that's part of the soup. So if you're just new and coming into the show and you're trying to figure out why we talk about these numbers or how we're measuring them, the bets are everything. It's the $5 bettors. It's the parlay bettors. It's the teaser bettors. It all rolls in. Every single bet is the percentage of bets. It's the cash that we tend to look at being, bigger bettors. Typically, you're not going to find bigger bettors doing multi-leg parlays. You're not going to find bigger bettors. You might find them now in the prop market, but generally speaking, it's those guys that go to the guys and girls that go to the window and they say, I got 10 grand. I want to lay it down on something. And that's the kind of stuff that we think can influence these markets. So we love to evaluate the bets versus the money and try to figure out how the books are reacting. In this spot here, all the bets, majority, 74% of the bets are coming in on NC State, 55% of the cash. And yet they said, hey, if you liked it at +1.5, you got to love it at +2.5. There's some reverse movement that we're looking for here. I'm lining in on this Virginia side of things too. I said this earlier, kind of my thought process around how this game script works. We see a lot of these teams that have played, back-to-back games, like with NC State, beat Syracuse, beat Clemson, and now here they go, right? They're rolling into this conference game here, and I'm sorry, yeah, Clemson. No, Duke. I'm all messed up right now. Anyhow, then you got Virginia on the other side of this thing here, and what does Virginia do? Virginia plays a physical, defensive-laden game out there. They slow the ball down. It's a methodical pace. It's not a lot of fun to watch unless you like defensive basketball. They're not just jacking up threes from all over the court. So what does that do? It wears you down. It frustrates you. And a team that's already got back-to-back games under their belt maybe comes out hot to start this game, but as Virginia starts to do their thing, you're going to slowly see the better team separate and pull away. That's why I'm going to the full game on this one here. Also, NC State, 0-7 against the spread. This one goes all the way back to February of 2015, when they've got less than 4 days rest, and they're coming off a win as a 6-point or greater dog. I know that's a long stretch back, 2015. A lot of these guys weren't anywhere near the program at that point 9 years ago. But that same situation did happen this year. They beat Clemson in the regular season, and then what they happened the next game? They lost to Syracuse. So this very much does track. It does have traction behind it. I think it's a great opportunity. And I see this Virginia -2.5 right now. I see it sitting there on FanDuel at -105. So it's a low juice spot. You could consider maybe taking that thing down to 2 if you wanted, but I'm okay with the 2.5. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think they can win this thing by 6 points when it's all said and done at the end. So Kong's Clip says St. John's first half, cash it. And then he says Norfolk is just better man for man. Yeah, and they're home. Serious misread if anybody was on the other side of that one. I get it. I understand people do that, but easy to say after you see the fact, right? But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So let's roll on. Andrew G says Virginia minus 1.3. Is that a 5? Am I that screwed up? Are my eyes that broken? Virginia minus 1.5 makes sense. That money is coming in on Virginia. I agree. Does make sense. That's what I wanted to sit with it a little bit longer. And that's the benefit of this show, is to be able to sit there with the information, let it marinate a little bit more, and then from there make the best informed decision we can. You guys want one more? You want one more? I don't have it written out. I know it. I gave it out earlier today, and I'm down on this play here. I think it's a great opportunity. You know what? I don't care. If you want it or you don't, I'm going to give it to you anyways. How about that? That's the kind of guy I am. I'm a giver here on this beautiful Friday spot. And where am I looking here? I'm looking at Grand Canyon. You guys heard me talk about this earlier today, potentially. We've got Seattle. We've got Grand Canyon. And earlier today, we started to see a little bit of wonkiness with this line, but it's straightened itself out. It's done exactly what we expected here. Seattle, Grand Canyon, 9 p.m. Eastern start. And we've got this line open up at 5.5. It's sat at 5.5 for a while. It's now moved to 6. We have 53% of the bets and 53% of the cash on Grand Canyon. And this number, 139, is oscillating between 138, 139, and 140. We only see that there's 60% of the bets on the under. That's a correlation spot for me as well. I love to correlate. You guys have heard me say it before. Low scoring unders and the favorites out there. And you look back at the history matchup between these two teams. They split these two. So it's a 1-1 on the series. Grand Canyon's got 3 losses on the entire season. I'm sorry, 4 losses on the entire season. One of those losses was to Seattle. There's zero chance they sit around here sleeping, not coming in ready and prepared to go to battle with this Seattle team, who, by the way, for what it's worth, have racked up a series of losses before playing yesterday with tired legs now against a shit Cal Baptist team, bottom in the conference. They stopped them. It was 81-57, but at the end of the day, it's a bad Cal Baptist team. And now Grand Canyon's coming in off a rest, feeling good about the situation, and you know they're not lying down on this team. Also, what happens in a situation where Grand Canyon's played the same team in the season and now they're a favorite? So that's a rematch spot. A rematch spot for Grand Canyon in the season as a favorite. They're 22-13 in those spots. They're winning those games by about 12 points. So I'm jumping in on this Grand Canyon spot. I've got Grand Canyon. I see him sitting. What do I see him sitting at now? -5.5 or -120, but the -6 is -108. So I'm not afraid to pay up for this half, or let this half a point get into the equation for me. I don't see it being a push. I think this is a spot where they do get this job done, and they get it done by as many as 10 points here. Double-digit win, I think, for Grand Canyon. So that's what we're going to do for the college hoops there. We're going to give you guys that third play, a little bonus play out there. So please hit that thumbs up and show the appreciation. Jay Peasy says, I like Grand Canyon, my guy. Peasy. Yeah, dude, I was on, when you and I were texting back and forth earlier today about it, I was I was already there. It was the other side that I had to get to. So nice work, my guy. Let's see what we can do out there. Julian Cesario says definitely going to be on Grand Canyon. That's the third play for college hoops today. Let's move on over to the pros. And, shout out to our guy, Billy Briz. I know what he said out there was you got to take advantage here. The books are all talking about this college hoops stuff out there. And maybe that creates some softer markets along the lines of the NBA. I don't know. We'll test it out. We'll see that just indeed. What we're going to do with this first game, though, is we're going to talk about the Orlando Do You Believe in Magic? They're going on the road up north to the 6th. They're going to play the Toronto Raptors here. This line opened at 5.5, -5.5 for the Magic. 75% of the bets on the Magic. Moved to 8.5 for the Magic, -8.5 for the Magic. The total dropping like a stone, 225s, all the way down to 217s. We have 63% of the bets and 69% of the cash on the over. So you've got some reverse line movement. But I don't know if it's true reverse movement because I do believe it's injury related. First of all, everybody is healthy for the Magic. I don't see anybody on their injury report whatsoever. On the other side of things, everybody's hurt for the Raptors. This is a bad spot for the Toronto Raptors. Kelsey says, I got the Raptors team total under 105. I think it's a great look. Absolutely, I do. For me, I had to jump in here and I had to move on this on the Orlando Magic. Recent games and performance out there being what they are. This number continuing to steam the way it is. The Raptors are doing nothing but losing. I've taken a couple shots with them. I've been good. I've been patient. I thought maybe they could figure a couple of these spots out. They're win one, lose one when it comes to the spread, but they're just losing across the board. On the other side of things, the Magic. Saw some numbers today. I thought it was pretty interesting here. The Orlando Magic, the most profitable spread team in the NBA right now, winning at a 65% clip, covering the spread at a 65% clip. If you bet $100 every game blindly on the spread with the Orlando Magic, you're up $1,600. I mean, that's, without knowing shit about shit, that's a pretty good spot to be out there for $100 to make yourself 16 times your cash on that thing. But look, some other numbers that you want to take a look at here, not just because they're a great spread cover team, but the Magic 15-2 against the spread with a healthy margin of covering the spread by 6 points a game when they're a favorite or a small dog. If the opponent's off a loss in that spot out there, which we do have with this Toronto Raptors team, what that tells me is they come out there and when they're the favorite and they're expected to win against a team that's losing, they do just that. They get excited to beat up on losing teams. And the Magic 22-3 against the spread, again, a margin of 6. When they're a strong favorite, if their opponent didn't lose the previous game by more than 10 points, which is this Toronto team. They lost 113-104. That says that kind of validates it. As long as it's not a blowout and they're priced to win the game, they get the job done. And again, the margin of 6. So a couple different reasons why I jumped around and got into this Orlando game. At 8, it's now 8.5. I would buy, I'm not going to say buy the hook. 8.5 at minus 110 is what I see out there right now. So that's what it be. 6-point margin. There's no reason to buy the hook when you got a margin sitting there with 6 points on both sides of it. Just if anybody was curious what my thought process was when I was evaluating that conversation that I had in my head there. Nanya says, I'm about to look into some player props for later on. Juggler 23 says the Sharps made a move on the Magic last night. I believe that. And that's why the numbers moved 3 points now, which is fine because we still have that margin in our corner, in our pocket to work with there. Kong's Clip says, Mikey, I really like Paolo Banchero over 5.5 assists at plus 108. Me too. I think that's a great look, Kong's Clips. Thank you for sharing that one. That makes a ton of sense. Big Scott, Nunya says, Big Scott, I may try to find Jokic 8+ out there. Jokic, Subhuman Gacho says, just hit Illinois first half money line. I like that Illinois spot. Myself personally, I think that's a good spot for Illinois today. So, although this is that first game, right? They're coming in off of the rest, so sometimes some things to be cautious of out there. Chris Bogan in the house is Magic minus 8.5, minus 105 at Caesars. Perfect, my guy. We will take advantage in every nickel, right? A penny saved is a penny earned, and if you make it 5, it's a nickel. So let's roll on. Let's talk about this next game. That was a 7:30 Eastern start. We're going to roll at 8 o'clock here. We're going to go back to a team that we cashed with last night in the LA Clippers. We've got the Clippers and the Pelicanos sitting down there in New Orleans, a line that opened up at -5. 66% of the bets and 98% of the cash on the Pelicanos. This thing's moved up to 7s in some spots. Still some 6.5s out there, but 7s predominantly making their way into the market for an 8 o'clock start. 58% of the bets on the over, but we have this line's dropped now 5 points to a 218. Even some 218.5s that are sitting out there. So kind of pass down here and take a peek at the injury report there. Russell Westbrook's out. And Harden, James Harden will be out tonight as well, which works out better for the play that I was looking at there because we saw him sit the other day. It didn't matter, but the first game of star sits, we're okay to jump in and play that team. Then next game the star sits, that's where you want to start to get cautious out there. I'm rolling right back to the well. We lost on this the other day, which makes me like it even more today. Sometimes you're just a day early for a good play. LJ shared with us that the New Orleans Pelicanos home numbers against the spread in the first half were 19-9-2, I believe was the number out there. So we're going to run back to it here. We're going to take the Pelicanos. We're going to take them in the first half, and we're going to take, it's now -3.5. That's fine. -3.5 at -109. So, they're just manipulating the juice a little bit is what it happens there. -3 at -112 to a -3.5 at -109 is just a little manipulation, but I'm adding a play in this spot as well. I'm going to take a look and I'm going to tell you exactly where I'm going here. with a key playmaker out there in James Harden. The guy's been an assist machine. I'm going to the under in this game, and this number is now dropping again from the spot that I had earlier today. It's now 218.5, which is fine. I was just at 219, so it's not a ton of a movement here on that under, but kind of some validation behind why I'm jumping in on this under has a lot to do with, the situation that we've got right now here. New Orleans Pelicans 12-0 to the under when they're a favorite of 5 or more points, and the total's under 226. Check all those boxes for us. We've got correlated movement in there. We see that it's reverse line movement. Everyone's pounding on the over, and yet it's dropping. Check that box for us. And then the Clippers, 9-0 to the under when they're playing a team that they previously allowed to shoot 48% or better the last time that they played. It's the margin in both those spots that jumped off the page to me. Coming in, try not to give you guys a play that's going to make a difference of a point, right? That's kind of a shitty thing to do when it comes to coming in here and listening, or you're on the replay and 1 point makes it so drastic that I'm not going to play it anymore. That's not really where I get involved with, right? But when I see a margin like this, I've got to. That New Orleans Pelicans spot where they're the 5-point or greater favorite with an under 226 has an under margin of 15. The margin is against the number, right? That's how many points it's going under the total by, and it's going under by 15 points. On the Clippers side of things, after they allowed a team to shoot 48% or better, that margin to the under is 12 points as well. So we've got double-digit margins out there for this under. And 218.5 makes a ton of sense for me, so let's jump in there. We're going to add that play as well, the New Orleans Pelicanos to the under in the full game, the under, and we've got that under at 218.5 at -110. Let's roll on, guys. Last game of the NBA card, and then we're going to move on over and bring in our UFC guru to give us the breakdown for the Apex and the action that's going to be taking place tomorrow afternoon out there in sunny Las Vegas here. We've got the Denver Nuggets, though. Big game, the Nuggets and the Spurs. San Antonio, shout out to Southtown 101. Place is going to be lit next week for Public-Palooza 3. And they're going at it tonight with the Denver Nuggets here. This line opened at -10. Pretty much sitting there. I mean, there's 10s, 10.5s, 39% of the bets and 89% of the cash on the Nuggets. No movement. No movement. If anything, it's moving the other direction. So very much a point of contention. The total, 221, is moving on up. It's now 222.5. 73% of the bets there cooking this over, and it's pushing it on up. It's pushing up, up, up. We got 222.5 at -110 is a spot that I jumped in on for this game here. You look at this thing here. This is a rematch spot, by the way. Big opportunity for these guys to go back at it again out there. But we've seen this Nuggets team here. They've got themselves 3 overs in their last 4 games. And the numbers that they're getting are just right in line with this number here, 222, 227, 232. They did have a lower number, though, for what it's worth. When you see something like a 217, that feels like the oddball out. It does, in fact, end up going under. On the other side of things, though, we've got this team in the Spurs that have pushed a couple of unders as well for us. So meaning they've cashed the unders. We got a little buy low spot with this number, and you can see that it's starting to rise, right? There's some steam, there's some pressure that's pushing this number up. And a couple spots that I've got for you guys with regards to this over and this total specifically. When you've got a heavy favorite coming in after a cover, the over has hit 113 times. It's lost 44. That's a 72% win rate in those spots out there. You're the heavy favorite. You just covered. You keep scoring. That stuff correlates. That's how I always talk about a team finishes is kind of how they start that next game, barring some anomaly, if you will, that's out there. And that's what we see in this case with this line here and what that number's telling us. 113 to 44 in favor of the over. Also, we've got a team here's a little weird one. This one took a little manipulation. When you cover more spreads than you actually win games. I had to figure it out. I haven't talked about this one before. When you cover more spreads than you actually do winning games, the over comes into play, 350 and 291. Think about it. If you're a shitty team, you're getting a nice spread number. If you're getting a nice spread number, typically you're probably covering. And to cover, you got to put points up. It's basic. It's real basic stuff out there for me. 222.5, as I said, at -110. How about the other spot that I'm jumping in on this game? You saw it right there. +195. I'm moving on with the Joker triple-double tonight. The guy's been just maniac with this thing, and he kind of fell off the train a little bit there. He kind of fell off the tracks. He went through a 4-game lull without. But I'm running back to it. You look at the index and the way these two teams played previously. He was just 1 assist short. Why was he 1 assist short? Because he had to do everything. He had no Gordon, he had no Murray, and he was out there balling. They're playing today. Everybody's rolling. And San Antonio, from a positional perspective, allows the 2nd most points to the center, the 7th most rebounds to the center, and Joker's averaging damn near 10 assists anyways in the game. Roll them all up. I looked at the points. I looked at the points and the rebounds, but then I saw the triple-double at plus 195. I said, sign me up. Line me up for that opportunity. So go ahead, get yourself some Joker triple-doubles. Use it as a parlay piece. However you want to get involved with it. I did jump in on that thing. Then he says, Mike, put an under the table bet on Wemby rolled an ankle plus 750. Robert Martin says, love that Vic jersey, pimp. Hey, I appreciate you, my guy, Robert Martin. It's great to see you in here. And Robert Martin says, it's the freaking Spurs chat. Con Clips, you have to be careful with this triple-double tonight. Blowout is definitely in effect. I thought about that. I was concerned that the blowout might come into effect. But I don't need him to go out there and put up 50 points. Let him go hook the other boys up and see what happens. It's a 10-point spread, and the Spurs have been finding a way to cover spreads. So I kind of was able to marginalize that. If you look at their last couple of games, 103-101 against Houston, 112-102 against Golden State. They beat Golden State 126-113 before that. Sacramento 131-129. And at Houston the first time around, 114-101. Not really blown out, not really getting blown out. They're hanging in there with these games. 10 points makes sense for the number, but I'm going to kind of play it with this direction here. Love to see some points. Love to see the triple-double. I'm on a shitload of unders in college basketball, so for me, let me have my over. Let me root for an over. Let's do that. How about that? Let's roll on, you guys. That's going to do it for the card tonight, but we do have UFC action tomorrow. Looks like an afternoon start across the board for them boys and girls in the baby cage as they roll on. We're going to bring our guy in here. You guys know him. You love him. Almost won the Pub Sports contest again last week, just a few points short. And he's been cashing regularly across the board when he does the live streams for UFC. Let's bring him on here, MMA Jeff.
What's going on?
What's up,
TGIF? Not too much. Looking forward to this card. Like I said, TGIF. Looking forward. Sat around watching the Cage Warriors all day and some golf. So it's been a good, relaxing Friday.
You kind of broke up a little there on us, but we heard it was a good, relaxing Friday. So that's what counts the most, guys. You know, hopefully our guy T can get the link and drop it in the chat for everybody. You don't know now, you know, Pub Sports does a regular contest every UFC Saturday, $100 pot. Go out there, winner takes all, free to enter. All you got to do is pick the winner, pick the combo or how it's going to end, whether it be a decision, a submission, or a knockout, and then the round. If it's a decision, it's pretty easy. It's going to go past 3. If it's going to be a KO, you got to pick 1, 2, or 3. How's that going to work out? Only takes a couple of minutes. Then you go out there and you get yourself an opportunity to win $100. And again, I know our guy was just short last week, but he's got a card for us today. So let's get it rolling. Fanatical Jim says, let's go, Jeff. Gerald Jones has been slamming live unders after 6 minutes. Yeah, they're kicking ass. I had one earlier today. It was like 115, and I think they ended with a 114. So it was a super low live under, but it worked out. So definitely keep yourselves ready on that stuff. But let's roll. There's our guy T. Dropped it in the chat for everybody out there. Just copy and paste that URL, drop it into your web search bar, and then hit the enter button. Go out there and join the contest. We continue to get growth week in and week out from this thing. It's a lot of fun. It's a free entry and a shot to pick up that hundo. So why not take a shot to make it happen? Let's talk about this UFC card, though, Jeff. I know you've got 3 spots for us and a parlay. We'll keep a brisk pace and get everybody up and on out of here. You're skipping the entry fight, but you're moving on. The second fight.
Can I jump in and just give a quick recap of last week? Because my ass is a little chapped. I went 2-2 last week, including the parlay. I think I was up 3/4 of a unit, but the first leg of the parlay busted, in my opinion, by a bad decision. So if that parlay, if that decision went the other way and JoJo didn't get that win, that parlay would have hit and would have ended up 4-0 last week. So either way, 2-2, up 3/4 of a unit. Pretty happy. And if anyone found me on Twitter live, put a bunch of plays out there and definitely crushed, as you had mentioned in the PSR stream there. Ended up in third or fourth, something like that. So definitely a good week. But yeah, let's roll. Sorry, I just want to give it a quick recap.
All good. Kelsey says, what is MMA? It's mixed martial arts, and it's the UFC out there. So they're fighting down there in Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens with this one. They'll travel, right? They just had that big UFC event, 299 down in Miami. And here we go, back to Vegas. It'll be Saturday afternoon, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. So let's talk about these fights here. Jeff's got a 3-pack for us plus a parlay. Love the combos there. See if we can't get to the cash again this week. Again, give you guys some action. It's an early start, so be ready. The first fight that he's looking at is the women's strawweight there. We've got Corey McKenna, 8-2, rolling out there against Jacqueline Amarim, number 36 versus the number 24. We got ourselves a little battle, Jeff. Tell us what's happening in this fight.
Excuse me, Jacqueline, she's a jiu-jitsu fighter. She trains at American Top Team. She's certainly a durable and a worthy component, or opponent, I should say. She's 4-0 in the LFA, but as soon as she jumped into the UFC, she went 1-1 against the tougher competition. McKenna, she's 3-1 in the UFC herself, but over a pro career, I think she's got like 12 fights, and half of those fights ended up going to decision. So I do like the over in this game, in this fight, but I wanted to take McKenna on the money line, and I saw it on Thursday. Yesterday it was minus 135. I looked again today on my same book. It shot up to minus 180. So certainly she's going to be. I think she's clearly going to be a winner. But I also see the small cage playing a factor. Right? I think that McKenna is going to probably try to get this one to the ground like she normally does, and ultimately she's going to grapple and wrestle and end up with the decision win.
Judges scorecard, women's fight. We see that quite a bit. Makes a lot of sense. Let's roll on here. Fight number 2 for the card for our guy here, MMA Jeff. He's looking at the lightweight division. He's got Diego Moses, Mitch Ramirez out there, 17-7 Moises. Mitch Ramirez at 8-1. The number 2, but he's a regional guy here, fighting out of Utah, taking his first opportunity at the big game after moving from the LFA. Jeff, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, not to mention he took this fight on short notice, and the only reason he got this fight is because he's hanging around Vegas training, and they didn't want to cancel Tiago's fight there. So he's 8-1 as a pro, so he's doing pretty well for himself, but he's also fighting the shittier competition. He actually lost in the Dana White Contender Series by KO in the second round, so he did not get a contract. He went back, he jumped into the LFA, he knocked the guy out. I forget who it was in the first round, but he certainly wasn't ready for he couldn't get through the Contender Series to get a contract in the UFC. He went to the LFA. Now he's back out of a guy withdrawing from a fight. So I still don't think he's ready personally. The one thing that scared me on the play though is he's never been Mitch Ramirez has never been submitted. So that made me a little nervous. But Tiago, he's got 8 submissions in his career. So then again with the number correlation. Him by submission at plus 115, I think he's going to be more than Mitch is actually ready for. Like I said, I don't believe he's prepared for the UFC quite yet. I couldn't really find a whole lot of tape to watch back on him, but like I said, I think Tiago's going to smother him and hopefully lead into a submission.
And rolling onward there, a submission finish at plus 115. The third fight you have for us here in the prelims, we've got Osborne and Philo going on out there, a little 12-6 battle for Ode Osborne, the Jamaican sensation, number 34 flyweight. We've got Philo, the pastor, coming in at number 31, trying to move up the rankings himself, coming off of a big submission win his last fight out. And we see that Osborne did pick himself up a nice little submission L the last fight out, Jeff. Very interesting. Tell us what you think about this fight.
Yeah, Philo's he's another 1-1, but he lost his or he's making a debut or he lost his debut. Go figure, coming off the Contender Series. To Muhammad Bakayev there in the third round though. He showed that he can actually withstand some pretty serious competition. He's another submission specialist out there. What stood out to me in this one was Osborne. He's 4-4 in the UFC, 2 losses by KO. Of those 4 losses, of those 4 losses, 3 of them were by submission. Of those 3 that he lost by submission, 2 of them were by rear naked choke. Philo has 7 of his 9 submission wins by rear naked choke. So that kind of stood out to me. I like him I tried to find Philo by rear naked choke, but neither of my books offered that to me. So I think he's going to sub him. I do, again, like the under move from under 2.5 at minus 185. It shifted to 190. So the public's jumping on the under as well. So I think Philo is going to get this done inside the distance by submission. And again, that's a plus 195 play, so that's a pretty solid one.
Like the look there. That's a nice little almost 2-to-1 shot for the cash, and I'm going to post it in the parlay, I'm going to post it in the chat. But give us the high level here on this parlay. Tell us what you're doing to get paid here. This looks like a nice little plus 490 spot. Lay it on us.
This was another one that I just threw it together. I like these guys to ultimately win, win their fights. I didn't want to pick specific ways. I didn't want to take Kennedy, though, at minus 700, had my book had him at. So I took him by KO. I actually think he's going to do it in the first round. But, those are just a couple of guys, like I said, that you got Rigariu, Kulabo, Davis, Richard, and, Kennedy. Leave it at that. But, plus 490. I think, again, that's a pretty Kennedy by KO. I think that's a pretty good play. So I'm on it. Hope everyone else tails it, and good luck.
Great stuff there. We've got 3 plays, a nice little parlay for the UFC, and you guys already know what's happening here on the regular. You can follow that contest. Our guy T put the link in the chat there, so go join. Again, free to enter. We appreciate everybody rocking with us tonight. Jeff, tell them what you got going on, where they can find you, and what's next on deck.
You guys can follow me on X, JMHockey19. I generally go live and give out a play pretty much for every fight before the fight happens, a couple of minutes before as they're getting announced. So certainly follow me on JMHockey19. I'll generally post a link for wherever I'm going to be if you're interested in live betting or getting all the fights, all the plays that I'm on. Certainly worth it. Definitely cashed last weekend, pretty much consistently every weekend. So follow it up. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. Excellent stuff. Have yourself a great weekend, and good luck with your bets in that UFC. Let's roll, guys. We're going to put the bow on the show tonight. Appreciate everybody rocking with us here and hanging through it. We covered the NHL. We covered college hoops and March Madness. We covered the NBA, and then we moved on and gave you guys some bonus coverage there from off a big win last week there. Moving the needle forward. He finds a 2-2 week, and he still gives you profit. So all you can ask for if you're looking for some Saturday MMA action. Enjoy the stuff that's been delivered. EQ, Subhuman, Gaucho, Nunya, Julian, Cesario, Kelsey. Everybody showed up tonight. Showed out, you guys. Appreciate you hanging with us and getting it done. Robert Martin in the house. Big Scott 510, the real deal. Prime the grinder out there, ready to roll. Always, you know what he's about there with his Buffalo Sabres. Let's get it going, you guys. Hope everybody has a terrific weekend. Good luck with your bets. I'll see you back here next week. In the meantime, if you haven't done so already, migrate on over to YouTube, follow the Pub Sports Radio channel, turn the notifications on. And when we have pop-up shows, live events, all kinds of content, you'll be in the first to be notified and be able to join us along as we live bet and sweat together to get that cash. Appreciate everybody's time. Have a great weekend and get that cash. We be pumping!